So, Joanna, when Robert Redford launched the Sundance Institute back in 1981, he had one mission: to support and encourage independent cinema. Now, a lot has changed for the movie industry in the last 40 years. Has your mission changed?
So it really hasn't changed. So Redford really started Sundance over 40 years ago. He had just won an Oscar for a film he directed, Ordinary People, and he wanted to create this space for artists to experiment, to take risks, to just create a space for creativity to come to life. And that's still what we do. I mean, we support, we champion, we amplify the work of independent, bold filmmakers. So the mission has very much stayed the same. Of course, the organization has evolved. It started with labs at the beginning, really these workshops for artists. And then some years later, Redford bought a film festival, it used to be called USA Film Festival, which is now the Sundance Film Festival, and we're going to be celebrating the 40th edition.
Yes. So a lot of people do know Sundance for the film festival, but the labs are the real engine of Sundance. Tell us a little bit about what happens at a lab.
So, I mean, the labs are, workshops. They really, and they're held at the Sundance Resort in Utah. So this beautiful land that Redford bought, he really believed that artists needed to have the space in nature to be, not distracted and have space to experiment. And he would invite his friends and advisors from Hollywood to come and work with these filmmakers, and that's how it started. And it's a formula that has worked so well. I mean, so many of the filmmakers that I mean, from Quentin Tarantino to Steven Soderbergh to Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, Chloe Zhao, Ava DuVernay, Ryan Coogler. I mean, it's amazing how so many artists started going with a script, with an idea, going through screenwriters lab, directors lab, then their film got to be at the festival, their first film, and now they're, the major filmmakers of our times.
And so many classic films. Till I was researching for this interview, I didn't realize that Pretty Woman went through Sundance.
That's a very funny example. It's actually going to be 30 years that the film was released, and it was workshopped at Sundance. It came in as a script, and the director went through the screenwriters lab, directors lab, and then Disney bought it. It was Touchstone Pictures, and they asked Gary Marshall to make the script a little less bleak. So definitely the Sundance version was a little darker. And there was no happy ending. So Gary worked on the script and directed the film, and I mean, it's a film that went on to connect with so many audiences all over the world.
Now, to support independent cinema, what we really need is to provide an audience, right? We're at an interesting time for the movie industry because after the pandemic, I know many of us prefer to watch or quite enjoy watching a movie from our couch. And when people go to the theater, it's often to watch Tom Cruise, or, Top Gun Maverick. How do we guarantee or create an audience for independent cinema?
So, I mean, I think it's a challenge that we're all thinking about. How do we bring people back to cinemas? I mean, there is nothing that replaces that experience of being totally immersed in a dark room with other people, and we're all laughing or crying. I mean, there's something that happens, and that experience those are the experiences that change the way that we see the world and connect with each other and get informed about different worlds. So, of course, behaviors have really changed because of the pandemic. People are now used to be home, have big TVs, and have all of entertainment options at their fingerprints. But I think, I mean, we need to cultivate also new audiences because the traditional art house audience is aging, and we need to get people excited about coming back. And I know that's something that distributors are really focusing on really going back to doing more traditional windows where they start in theaters and then go online. Because it's also, you get so much more attention and press and buzz if there's a time where people really go to the theater, there's word of mouth that builds, everyone is watching that film
Yes.
at that same time. So hoping that we continue to encourage that. And then, as a festival, sometimes that will be the only moment where filmmakers will have the opportunity to show their films for a community of people.
Let's talk about the movie Coda for a moment, because that's one of those unusual ones that did really well on the film circuit, on a streaming platform, but also in the theaters, and of course, went on to win an Oscar. But what's remarkable about Coda is, I mean, as a supporter of independent cinema has a huge power to shift cultural conversations. Did Coda really advance the conversation around disability?
So Coda is a great example. So the film went on to win the Oscar for Best Picture. The filmmaker had gone through our labs, and the film premiered at Sundance. It sold for a lot of money to Apple. It was the first Oscar for a streamer, so yes. Apple got Best Picture Oscar. I mean, and it's a film that it really normalizes certain aspects of the disability of deaf people, and having that showed in a very authentic way, in a very positive way. And I mean, it's a story about resilience. And it's amazing that the actor, who's the deaf actor, was the first deaf actor to win an Oscar for Best Actor.
Streaming services, do you see them as an opportunity or as a challenge? Because opinion is mixed on this, right?
So, I mean, I see it as both. I think it's a great opportunity. They, of course, invested so much money in content, and it gave opportunity for a wide variety of diverse filmmakers to have an opportunity to get their films produced, funded, and shown on the platform. It also did a really great push for documentaries. I mean, documentaries really kind of like got a new audiences, and people got excited about documentaries. So that's something really positive. Also, I think it has introduced independent films to global audiences, and it also has introduced international films and international series to American audiences that were maybe a little more reticent to see films with subtitles. And now that we're getting used to see all kinds of series, I think people are more open in the US for international films. So streamers have done really, I think, great things for creators. And I think it's about balancing, it's also having that theatrical experience being valued, and not just everything, available on one of the platforms. Because it also, I mean, it's hard to find things, you kind of can get overwhelmed.
It's a lot
really,
of choices.
There's so many choices, and then you kind of rely on the algorithm, and it sends you to see something that is similar to what you saw. And I think what's wonderful about independent film, and when I say independent, it's really films that are made outside of the studio system. And so many of international films, of course, are made what we call an independent way. And I mean, but so many of those films are about discovery. It's about seeing something you haven't seen before, giving voice to someone who hadn't had that voice, seeing people represented that maybe you hadn't seen before. And sometimes I don't know if we have an algorithm yet for discovery, for something that is going to surprise you. So anyway, that's sometimes the other side of things is...
Well, the other side of technology also is, I mean, we've been talking a lot about AI and ChatGPT at this forum. And there's a writer's strike at the moment, and writers are striking because they're concerned about how writing tools like ChatGPT could maybe write like a movie script instead of them. What's your take on this?
I think I mean, I think it's both exciting and frightening. I mean, of course, AI sources from everyone's material. So what is copyright anymore? I think it's right now maybe not writing great scripts, but who knows in 6 months? I mean, things are just evolving so fast. So I think we need to see, I mean, right now there's no authentication for content. We don't know if it's content, AI content, or, I mean, so that's going to be something that people need to solve for. They need to solve for copyright. And, I mean, I think nothing, you know, replaces a personal experience. Independent film is so much about original voices that tell stories that resonate universally, but also are so based in, you know, individual human experiences. So hopefully that creativity that makes that originality, you know, so human continues. But I think that is something that we should be regulating, and that we should know how it's used. And I really hope that that studios and financiers and producers also are honest about the source of the material.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious about the submissions that you're receiving at the Sundance Institute. Are you seeing more diversity in the kinds of scripts that are coming your way, and also the filmmakers who are sending in movies?
So this year for the festival, we had 16,000 submissions of both feature films and short films.
Was that a record number of submissions?
It was a record number, 11,000 of short films coming from all over the world.
That's
and
amazing.
5,000 feature films, which is amazing. If you think about it, I mean, maybe Hollywood, you know, has, you know, 100-something films that come out a year, so it's a huge number. And what we saw this year, I mean, I think this was the most diverse festival that we had. We had 53% of the films directed by women and 49% of films directed by BIPOC filmmakers. And that was a record. And if you look at the submissions, it's actually, the numbers are lower. I mean, 25% of, maybe 30% of the submissions are submitted by women directors, to give you an example. But what was exciting, it was not like we were checking boxes. For us, it was like we first selected the films, and then we were like, oh, who directed? Oh, it's a woman.
So it just happened to be.
So it happened to be the most exciting storytelling was coming from women directors, was coming from underrepresented communities and filmmakers. So that's exciting, and I think we'll see more and more. And that's where technology is great. It also provides accessibility. I mean, it's so much cheaper and easier to create content, and I think AI is also exciting in terms of giving filmmakers the tools that maybe you had to spend millions of dollars to be able to do any special effects, or to even dream what your story is going to be. If it's like a science fiction story, now an independent filmmaker can dream what that could look like and work with AI to define those looks.
Well, it's definitely an exciting time for the film industry, and I'm excited to see what comes out of Sundance this year. Joana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.